I stole the wrong briefcase. That's really the whole story, but unfortunately, it didn't end there. One minute, I was sitting in a dim Italian restaurant, sipping cheap coffee and minding my business. The next minute, I made the single worst decision of my life. A guy in a bad suit left a leather briefcase on the table while he walked off. My brain said, "Don't." My hand said, "Too late." I grabbed it. And just like that, my life turned into a countdown timer. The place smelled like garlic, wine, and as I would soon discover, future gunpowder. I stood up, trying to act normal, but the second I looked around, I felt it eyes. Not one or two. Like 10. Big guys. Dark suits. The kind of guys who don't blink much. One of them picked up a phone. That's when my survival instincts finally showed up, about 5 seconds too late. I tried to walk away casually, like I hadn't just signed my own death certificate. But deep down, I already knew. Stealing from strangers is dumb. Stealing from that stranger? Suicidal. See, here's something I didn't fully appreciate before that day. The Mafia is not a movie concept. It's not background noise from gangster films. It's a real, structured system. Like a corporation. If the HR department solved problems permanently, there's a boss at the top, the Don, then an advisor, the consigliere, whispering strategies. Under that, the underboss, then capos running crews. And below them, soldiers. And every single one of those soldiers takes an oath. Omerta. Code of silence. No talking. No snitching. No police. Break that, and you don't get a warning email. You get erased. So when people say, "Don't steal from the Mafia," it's not advice. It's a rule of survival. And I had just broken it. By the time I got outside, I wasn't just a guy anymore. I was a problem. A walking, breathing problem that needed to be solved. And the worst part, they knew it. By evening, I wasn't hiding. I was being hunted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. No helicopters or sirens. Just quiet efficiency. Phones ringing. People talking. Information moving. That's when I realized something terrifying. These guys don't panic. They organize. Meanwhile, I was spiraling. I went into hiding immediately. And let me tell you, New York is a great place to disappear. If you're not being actively looked for by professionals. Every day became a blur. Taxis. Cheap motels. Different neighborhoods. Always moving. I stopped using my phone. Stopped trusting anyone. Stopped sleeping properly. Every sound became suspicious. A car door? They found me. Footsteps? Definitely them. Someone coughing in the hallway. Probably a signal. I wasn't living anymore. I was buffering in fear. And the Mafia didn't even need to chase me at first. They just let the paranoia do the work. Which, by the way, is incredibly effective. I started remembering all the warnings I had ignored. My uncle. Don't get involved in stupid things. My ex. You're going to regret your decisions. Even a fortune cookie once said something like, "Avoid unnecessary risks." I laughed at all of them. Now I was basically a walking, "I told you so." Money became a problem too. I couldn't work a normal job. Couldn't show my face anywhere consistently. So I started selling things. My game console. Random belongings. At one point, I considered selling a toaster, then realized I needed it for emotional support. Meeting buyers was a whole mission. Every person looked suspicious. Every jacket looked like it could hide a weapon. I'd hand over items and grab cash like I was defusing a bomb. Even food became complicated. Drive-thrus? Too exposed. Restaurants? Absolutely not. So I ended up hanging around late-night food spots, trying to act normal while internally preparing my will. At 3 a.m., I once had a full conversation with a guy over kebabs just to prove I wasn't nervous. I answered a random trivia question wrong and almost panicked like that alone would get me killed. That's what fear does. It rewires everything. Now here's the thing about the Mafia. They don't just punish outsiders. They punish insiders too. If someone steals, talks, or steps out of line, it's over. There's a saying, simple, direct, and horrifying. You steal from the Mafia, you're killed. No appeals. No second chances. And congratulations to me. I had become a real-life example. At that point, I considered going to the police. For about 3 seconds. Then reality kicked in. Omerta. Nobody talks. Nobody helps. Nobody risks it. If I went to the authorities, I wouldn't just be a thief. I'd be a rat. And that's worse. So I had 2 options. Handle it myself. Or hope the boss had a sense of humor. Spoiler, Not a strong strategy. Still, I tried something desperate. I reached out to a lawyer connected to the boss. I showed up in a terrible suit, carrying envelopes of cash like I was in a low-budget crime movie. I apologized. I explained. I tried to fix it. I slid the money across the table. And the lawyer looked at me like I had completely misunderstood the situation. Because I had. It wasn't about the money. It was about respect. I hadn't just taken cash. I had disrespected the family. And there's no refund policy for that. Back on the streets, everything felt louder, brighter, more dangerous. Every stranger looked like a potential threat. Once a car full of guys drove past me laughing. One of them made eye contact. Just eye contact. And I nearly sprinted across the street like I was escaping a burning building. Sleep. Gone. Food. Minimal. Sanity. Questionable. Every night, I planned for worst-case scenarios. If they kick the door in. If they grab me. If this is it. My kitchen turned into a weapons inventory. Frying pan. Broomstick. Can opener. None of which inspired confidence. Even my phone became terrifying. Every buzz felt like a death notification. But somehow, I still had moments of dark humor. Like applying for a night shift job at a grocery store and thinking, well, at least if I'm bagging bread at 3 a.m., nobody's looking for me there. I laughed once. Alone. In the dark. Woke myself up. That's where I was mentally. Weeks passed. And then came the message. A simple text on a burner phone. It's not personal, kid. Pay your respect. Not personal. That's what made it worse. Eventually, it all caught up with me. Of course it did. You can't outrun something that organized forever. One day, I was at a red light. Then suddenly, black SUV. Doors open. Four guys step out. No shouting. No chaos. Just efficiency. They pulled me in like I was something they had misplaced earlier. Handcuffs clicked. And weirdly, they weren't rough, which somehow made it more terrifying. We drove. I didn't ask where. Didn't want to know. At that point, it didn't matter. Every second in that car felt like the end of a very bad story I had written myself. And the lesson? It's simple. Painfully simple. Some mistakes don't come with warnings. Some people don't forget. And some rules. You only understand after you break them. Now I'm sitting in a jail cell. Alive. Which, honestly, feels like a miracle. And if there's anything remotely funny about all this, it's this. Out of all the things I could have stolen in life, I chose that briefcase. And that was the worst decision I ever made.